And I guess we should be recording. Let's make sure we're recording. Okay, good. So I think we're ready to go. So everyone see my they see my screen, right? So this is a good activity because just remind us how internet is unstable. Okay, when we grade a paper, this kind of goes back. If you remember back in TESOL, in errors and errors versus mistakes, errors and corrections, and so some of these things that we're going to correct everything that's wrong here. But some of these things in real time, in real life, we might let slide because we didn't teach it, or we really focus on one particular, we only look up maybe capitalization errors, or we're looking for subject-verb agreement. So in those cases, I would say make sure that the composition, whether it's a sentence or a paragraph, is perfectly correct with only the errors that you intend the student to correct, right? Or identify. But in this case, and I gave this to my university students, I wanted them to identify all the errors because everything in this paragraph we have discussed in the 8 weeks in this semester. All right. And just to give you a heads up, I had to grade on a curve when I finally graded the paragraph because a lot of them were either asleep, not paying attention, or it proved to be very difficult. So I ended up giving a 12-point curve on this particular assignment. This is actually not the paragraph. I gave a different one, but this is this was kind of like my backup paragraph for people who may have had an excused absence. So, but it's pretty much the same theory as the other one. So there's many mistakes, and we're going to go over all of these mistakes or errors, depending on how you look at them. And if you have any issues, then we could talk about them. All right, so the first thing is we have a combination of formatting errors. As you can see, this is not formatted properly. We have capitalization errors, subject-verb agreement, coherence. Did I lose you guys? Did I lose you guys? Can you hear me?
Hello, Ray.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I lost.
Actually, the connection, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm lost the connection.
Where's the remote? Right? Where's the remote? Where's the remote? All right, so this should be a little bit better. All right, is everyone with me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to share my screen. So there's a series of errors. There's cohesion errors, there's formatting errors, there's spelling errors, there's capitalization errors, there's subject and verb agreement errors, there are comma rule violations. There's a lot of different things going on. There's breaking unity errors, which would be a cohesion, coherence issue. So we're gonna go over those errors or mistakes right now. Again, how you look at it. All right. So the first one, now I noticed in the EAP world, right? In the ESL EAP world, it seems like we train students to what? Write a title to their paragraphs. Typically, for native speakers, we don't write titles for paragraphs, but in EAP, a lot of books emphasize the point of writing a title. So if you're going to do that, we got to make sure that the title has the correct capitalization. So the first error that we see here is what? That G is supposed to be capitalized, right? So we'll go ahead and capitalize that G. All right, so that G should be capitalized. All right. The other formatting error is that this should be what? The title should be centered. Right. The next error that we see is another formatting error, and this should be indented properly. So I normally don't like doing that. You can tab, but what you should do, or what we should be telling students to do, is go into paragraph, and you see this line says special, and doing it that way. Okay. All right. You see that first line. So when they're writing essays, it's not a big deal if they're only writing one paragraph, but when they're writing essays, do first line. So every time they write a new paragraph, it'll automatically indent for them. But when you're writing one paragraph, it's not a big deal. Also, when you're writing an essay, so you're writing a 10-page paper, if you keep on tabbing and entering, it's going to change. It's going to change the and mess up the formatting of your paper. So it's good to do all your formatting up here in the paragraph selection. All right. Next, Baltimore is a port city located in the, so small is spelled wrong, so we'll fix small. All right. But important state of Maryland. Maryland is a formal noun, so we capitalize that. Okay. Now, a lot of students might want to put the comma in front of but there's no comma that comes in front of but. But why? Because important state of Maryland is not an independent clause. So this is just, but it's just serving as a linking word here. And because the clause, because it's nothing more than, it's not a clause that comes after it, you don't need a comma. But a lot of students may put a comma there because they think but is the coordinating conjunction and needs a comma. But in this case, it does not need a comma because there's no independent clause that comes after it. All right. Next, Baltimore is one of the United States' most beloved cities. Right. So that should be plural. Due to its, this should be it's like that. Right. Because the apostrophe S really stands for what? It is, right? So that should be its. That shows possession. Significant history. The Calvert family. All right, so we got another error here. There's no comma that's needed here. All right, so no comma needed. So we'll highlight that as no comma needed. Founded the city in 1729. At one point, it was. So we have subject verb agreement. So it should be it was. Ray. It was the most important, biggest, and busiest ports in America. It was the most important, biggest, and busiest port. So this would be wrong right here. So it should be just at one point it was the most important, biggest, and busiest port, but not ports. So that's an error. So we'll highlight that in America. Because Baltimore has such a busy port, okay, this is a fragment because this is a dependent clause and it's standing alone. So that would be a fragment, right? So we need to do something with that. We can fix it. We can delete it. Okay. So and
looking at the next sentence, the Baltimore port was critical. The Baltimore port was critical for trade, especially between America and the Caribbean region. All right. What do we want to do? Okay, let's say we wanted to fix it because Baltimore had such a busy port. We need a what? An independent clause here. So we can either delete this if we feel like we don't need it, right? If it's
We can add comma.
yeah. So
Right.
We
can add a comma before because and make the b smaller as a small b, right? Is it right?
With this next sentence?
Yes.
No, and I'm gonna tell you why. The two clauses don't go together. Because if you put Baltimore, because Baltimore has such a busy port, the Baltimore port was critical. No, it doesn't. They don't go well together. So we would have to either delete this fragment or write a clause that goes more with this dependent clause. So let's write, because we'll make something else. Make something up. Because Baltimore has such a busy port, it was the center of commerce in America. Okay. Now we added, I'm going to make this one green, meaning now it's a go. Now we added an independent clause that's better suited and make it more cohesive. I mean, coherent. Make the sentence more coherent. Because Baltimore has such a busy port, it was the center of commerce in America. Okay.
There is no problem in deleting it as well, right?
You can either delete it. You can delete this if you feel like you don't need it because it's a fragment, or you can fix it by adding a more appropriate.
Yeah, but adding has an issue. Like people who don't know about Baltimore, it will be hard for them to add something which they're unaware of.
Well, we gotta remember, whoever the author is, they obviously know something about Baltimore. They either, what may have happened is they might have had a thought, right, and the phone rung, and they just didn't notice that they wrote a fragment, or they got so many ideas in their mind that they didn't notice that they wrote a fragment. So the author of this would obviously, he might be writing a report about Baltimore, so he would know something about Baltimore. Okay. If it's somebody who was asked to fix it and they didn't know anything about Baltimore, then the best thing for them to do may be just to delete the fragment, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's fine.
But in most cases, the person writing this they know something about Baltimore. All right. The Baltimore port was critical for trade, especially between America and the Caribbean region. So Caribbean is a part of the world. Some people say Caribbean, by the way. So that's a region of the world, so we want to capitalize that. Baltimore was so important to the maritime industry that the U.S. Navy's first ship was launched out of Baltimore in 1797. That's okay. Speaking of ships, this is an introductory phrase, so we need a comma. Baltimore's port became known for being the major builders of the famous clipper ships, which was known for their incredible speed and maneuverability. So obviously, this is the wrong punctuation here. So we'll fix that. Make that full stop. Also, and let me highlight that because that was another error. Also, notice here there's a comma after this relative clause, which was known for their incredible speed and maneuverability. Can anybody tell me why there's a comma here? Because some cases you would not put the comma there. Why is the comma appropriate in this case? Anybody know? Dina, you know?
It's because they're adding the detail.
Yeah, exactly. It's extra
Okay.
information. That's it.
It's more information. It's just additional information.
Yes, more information. They're adding more
And
information.
it's not important to the clause, to the main clause.
Yeah.
Okay. But if it was important to the main clause, then you would not put the comma there. So this is an instance where grammar can actually indicate meaning, okay, and from a writing perspective. Because sometimes the author may signal that this information is important, but not putting the comma there. So he might want to highlight to the reader that this is actually important information. This is not unnecessary information, so you don't put the comma there. The issue becomes whether the author understands that rule, right? So this comma right here can actually be very important to how someone perceives this sentence, and it could affect the meaning of the whole paragraph, actually. So that's just a little sidebar about how commas can change meaning. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The LA Clippers also.
There is one more.
Yeah.
Was should be were.
What happened?
Which were known because subject verb agreement.
Which one?
Yeah, which were known because they're talking about Clipper ships, right?
Speaking of ships,
No.
Baltimore's port became
Which were known for their
being the major
builder, not builders.
Of the famous Clipper ships.
Which were.
So actually, you make a good point here, because this is an error. I overlooked it. Which is not the right word here. Baltimore's port became known for being the major builders of the famous Clipper ships. Which is not the right word here.
I think builders.
Which is the
relative? That were.
Which is a relative pronoun, right?
Yeah.
So what Clipper which is relative to what? This pronoun right here is being relative to what? To Clipper ships.
Clipper ships.
Right? Clipper ships is serving as what? The object of this main clause? Right? Is that right? Is Clipper ship the object of this main clause? Baltimore's port became known for being the major builders of famous Clipper ships. Baltimore's port became known for being the major builders of the famous Clipper ships.
Yeah,
so
that's the object.
Receiving the action, right?
Yeah.
Right? Which means it's the object, right? Correct?
Yeah.
So that means this relative pronoun should be what? Hold on, am I right here? Speaking of ships, Baltimore Port became known for being the major builders of the famous Clipper ships. Famous Clipper ships. Oh no, okay. Okay, so it should be what? So I'm trying to think of the rule now.
That was known.
That was known for. Speaking of ships, Baltimore Port became known for being the major builders of the famous ships. That was. I think which is still.
I think we should delete both. If we are putting which, we should put we should replace was with were. But if we want to.
Which were you're right about that. Which were.
Yeah.
No, for there. You're right about that. No, but which is right? Which is right?
But we can remove all which were both the words altogether, and we can make it like famous Clipper ships known for their incredible speed. And
you could do that. You could do that also. You could do that. You could kill the relative clause here. Known for being the major builders of the famous Clipper ship, which were known
we can keep it
Bill
which was, and builders became builder,
is
not builders.
known for. Yeah, so there's a couple fixes here. If you are unsure about this relative clause, which now I'm a little unsure now, I need to look at the rule again. But I think this is clipper ships is an object. I was going to go with. I think it's okay because clipper ships is not a human. If this was a human, then it would be whom, right?
Yeah, this is fine because
But this is
it
fine.
sounds okay.
That's fine. Which word? No. So this is fine. This is fine like this. Or you can, as Hannah said, you can just delete it and go known for being the major builders of the famous clipper ships, known for their incredible speed and maneuverability. So there's several fixes here. Okay. All right. But for the purpose of this, we had to change the was to were. Okay.
Okay.
So I guess we need to highlight that, right? All right. Next one. Thank you for because I moved right over that. Thanks, Hannah. Next, the LA Clippers are also named after the fast-moving ships. Is that okay? The LA Clippers are also named after the fast-moving ships. Is that okay?
Yes.
No,
I think
it's not.
fast moving. We have.
No, after those,
Yes.
after these or those, something like that. Wait.
Is there a problem
Yes.
here?
The LA Clipper are also named after these fast-moving ships.
No.
It doesn't matter whether you change these or those. That's not really the issue.
Yeah.
You know what the issue is? This is a breaking unity issue. This is an unnecessary sentence. It needs to be totally taken out because it has nothing to do with the paragraph. That had nothing to do at all with the paragraph. Right? So this is breaking unity. So this is a coherence issue. So we'll take that out. We'll make that red, meaning we'll take it out. This is a breaking unity sentence. Doesn't need it, right? And this is important to tell our students because what often would happen is our students will start talking about the LA Clippers and go off topic. All right. So this sentence is off topic. So we need to just delete it. Okay. Next, Baltimore's history, and then we have a spelling issue here. Also. Also includes, and then we have another what? We have another issue here. This should be its. Should be the possessive form, and that's a common mistake that students make. Its role in the War of 1812. During this war, the British attempted to capture the city, but he was unsuccessfully. All right, what's going on there? Baltimore history also includes its role on the War of 1812. During this war, the British attempted to capture the city, but he was unsuccessfully. What's going on there?
Not complete sentences.
Oh, it's too complete, right? It's a run-on.
Maybe, yeah.
It's a run-on sentence. So this is a run-on sentence. Baltimore's history also includes his role. First of all, the first issue is this is the wrong preposition, right? It should be in, not on the war, but in the war, right?
Yeah, right.
In the War of 1812. War of 1812 was an actual war, so war should be capitalized here. And then we need a what? Full stop? Because that's the best way to correct that run-on sentence. Right? And then we would capitalize during. During this war, and then the British needs to be what? Capitalized.
Yes.
The British attempted to capture the city, and then we need a what?
It was, not he was.
But we need a comma here because because that's this is coordinated conjunction, so you need a comma right there.
Mhm.
But, and then this is the
It
wrong
was.
pronoun, right? So wrong word.
They were unsuccessful.
They were unsuccessful.
Or
They were.
yeah.
So we got a couple issues. Now because we changed it to they, now we have a subject verb agreement issue.
This was an addition to the
So now they were.
Or it can be simply but were unsuccessful, because why do we need they again?
Because you need to make this a compound sentence.
Okay.
For this to a coherency. And then we have another issue, right? What's the other issue?
Unsuccessful.
Unsuccessful. Right?
Yeah.
All right. After that, Baltimore is the home of the nation's national anthem. Is that okay? After that, Baltimore is the home of the nation's national anthem. Is that okay?
Yes. Yeah, okay.
No, we have a cohesion issue now, because this is the wrong transition.
I don't think so. There should, yeah.
Wrong transition. Right? We could put a more appropriate transition signal word, which would be, now we can look and see, is that the final main point we have? Yeah, that's the final main point. So we can say finally here, right? Okay. Finally, because it's the reason why we can use finally is because it's the last main point of this paragraph. Finally, Baltimore is the home of the nation's national anthem. The Star Spangled Banner is written by Francis Scott Key while he sat on a British ship on Baltimore's harbor. What's going on there? The Star Spangled Banner was written, right? It's past tense. That's a tense issue. That's a tense issue. The Star Spangled Banner was written by Francis Scott, and this is a capitalization issue, so that needs to be capitalized. While he sat on a British ship on Baltimore's harbor, and that's a preposition issue, right? Wrong preposition in Baltimore's harbor. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Key see the discharge artillery fire between the British Navy and the Army American. Is that okay?
So, not C.
He saw.
No, it's not. He
saw so that's a tense issue. He saw the discharge of artillery fire between the British Navy and then we have a word order issue right here, right? So a lot of non-native speakers might make a mistake like this.
Yeah.
So it should be
and the American Army.
American Army instead of Army American. So that's a word order issue.
Yeah.
Army and Navy doesn't need capitalization, right?
Not in this case. Not in this case. Not in this case. If you capitalized it wouldn't be wrong. If you didn't capitalize it, you wouldn't be wrong.
I did it actually, but that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, you will see people who will capitalize it, right?
Because usually when we write it, like American Army, we use both.
You will see people who capitalize it, but
yeah,
I wouldn't capitalize it. But you know what? If you did capitalize it, it would not be wrong.
Okay.
Now, if you say Army and as a possessive, then you want to capitalize it. Army's money, then obviously you will capitalize Army. But whether you capitalize it or not, that's one of those things where it's a preference issue. But for this case, let's go ahead and capitalize it. Okay. Like I said, you'll see some people who will capitalize and some will not. That's one of those preference issues. This fire exchange of in sky look fireworks. What's going on here?
Looked like
Order of the sentence. Yeah. This fire exchange in the sky looked like.
Right.
Fireworks.
So this whole sentence, this sentence is a syntax. So this is probably something. This is probably something an A1 or A2 speaker would write, right? Because the A1 or A2 speaker, a beginner, they don't know the syntax yet. They don't know the word order. So a student who is new to learning English might write a sentence like this because they're not familiar with word order. Okay.
Yeah.
And I love when A1, A2 speakers do this because this is a great opportunity to teach them word order and syntax. All right. So this whole sentence needs to be, we'll make that corrected. That whole sentence, it's just incoherent. So we would have to rewrite the whole sentence. Okay. And then next, hence Americans celebrates every Independence Day, 4th of July with firework displays. What we do here? Hence, comma, right?
Yeah.
Americans celebrate.
Yeah, celebrate, right?
The comma there. Americans celebrate, subject verb agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Independence every 4th. Again, order
Independence
problem.
Day, what? Now here's another one.
Every Independence Day.
Some people
No, celebrate Independence Day every 4th of July.
You can put a comma on
every Independence Day.
Comma after day.
All right, so comma after day.
Yeah, and that's
then
it.
What's next?
1st of July with.
No, it doesn't make sense. Either we have to add a preposition or we have to change the order.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
July with capital.
You don't have to change the order. Capitalize July, right?
Americans celebrate.
You don't have to capitalize July.
4th of July with fire. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you do what? What do you need next? You need another comma.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is unnecessary. 4th of July is unnecessary. This would count as what we call a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Now
so
it
this
makes
isn't a
sense.
positive, so this is unnecessary. So we could block it off by commas. Because you can read it without saying 4th of July. Hence, Americans celebrate every Independence Day with fireworks. So this is just a noun phrase. Just block it off by commas, and you're good. Okay? Hence, Americans celebrate every Independence Day, 4th of July, with fireworks. And then finally, in the beginning, one cannot tell a story of America without including Baltimore's historical contributions to the country. Is that fine?
We can say without including Baltimore's contributes to the country.
Let's deal with the first
victory.
issue. The first issue is what? We have a problem here with our signal word.
Yeah,
right?
in the beginning.
I genuinely did not know what to do with this one.
So the problem here is this is the wrong signal, right?
Yeah.
This is the wrong signal. So it should say what? In conclusion.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
In conclusion, right? Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Right. In conclusion, it was just the wrong signal. And again, your A1, even your B1, well, your A1, A2 students may make that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
In conclusion, one cannot tell.
Yeah, because I did it when I was formatting it, and then I said, no, it shouldn't change. Why? Like, that's what I said, that maybe I didn't understand the question properly. So.
Yeah. So I wanted, because we're teachers, I wanted us to see every aspect of what was wrong about this paragraph. Every aspect. And then again, that's why I prefaced the statement by saying some of this stuff you would never mention to a student because you may not have taught this to them yet, or it may be too advanced, or whatever the case may be. All right. But as teachers, we want to go over every aspect of this paragraph. So in conclusion, one cannot tell the story of America. Okay, and then we have what? We have an unnecessary comma, right? So that comma is not needed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go ahead and delete that. Let's do this. We don't need that comma.
We were doing emotions, probably red.
Oh yeah, let's make that red.
Things which are.
Yeah, let's make that red. All right. Without including Baltimore's historical contributions to the country. Is everything fine now?
Now, without including Baltimore's contribution to the country's history, I think it's
to
the country's history.
Okay, let's see.
Not historical.
In conclusion, one cannot tell the story of America without including Baltimore's historical contributions to the country. No, that's fine.
I find it.
In conclusion, one cannot tell the story of America without including Baltimore's historical contributions, because everything in this paragraph is about historical contributions, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So so the question that we have is this an appropriate conclusion? So sometimes, and what I've seen over the years, is students they get lazy in the conclusion sentence, right? Because they think they're finished and they're done and they're frustrated and they get really lazy. So what we have to remind students is they should look at the conclusion sentence and compare it to what? The topic sentence. So in this paragraph, what is the topic sentence?
Baltimore is the port
Great
city.
American city.
Huh?
No.
The topic sentence is what?
Baltimore is the port city located in the small.
Significant? No. It's of significant history.
Yeah, this is the topic sentence right here.
Okay.
Baltimore is one of the United States' most beloved cities due to its significant history. Because everything else in this paragraph deals with what? Why the topic is Baltimore. The controlling idea is it's one of the most beloved cities due to its significant history, and all the main points deal with that topic, that controlling idea. So if we look at this topic sentence, Baltimore is one of the United States' most beloved cities due to its significant history, and then we look at our concluding sentence. In conclusion, one cannot tell the story of America without including Baltimore's historical contributions to the country. Do those two sentences go hand in hand? Do they fit together?
Yeah, they do, because they're talking about history there, and they are talking about historical contribution here. So they do.
This is one of the things that we want to show our students, because a lot of times our students don't know what to write as a concluding sentence. So all we need to do is tell our students, when you're writing your conclusion, just go back to your topic sentence, all right? And you could do a couple of things. You can either restate your topic sentence in a different way, and that's what we did here. Is we said the same thing in our conclusion as we did in our topic sentence. We just said it in a different way. You can give advice, right? So we could have wrote a sentence like, all in all, in conclusion, Baltimore is a wonderful city to visit if you ever get a chance. Okay. Or in conclusion, if you love history, you should visit Baltimore. Okay. That's another method you can use in writing a conclusion sentence. Or the final thing to do, we could tell our students when we're writing the conclusion sentences, is they could take each main point and then write a conclusion sentence summarizing each main point. So for instance, in conclusion, Baltimore is Baltimore is one of America's best cities because Baltimore is one of America's most historical cities because it was once the center of trade. What's the next one? It's the home of the national anthem. I missed one. It was the center of trade. Trade. Okay. It's center of trade. Actually, it's only two main points when I think about it. Yeah, it's only two main points. In conclusion,
What about the maritime industry?
That actually goes with the trade. It's actually a part of the trade main point. So, the third way to write a good concluding sentence for this paragraph would be, Baltimore is one of America's most historical cities because it was once the center of trade and commerce, and it's the home of the national anthem. Finished. So we could teach our students, and sometimes I think we fall short of that, and telling them how they can write a good concluding sentence. Either A, they can restate the topic, B, they can make a suggestion, or C, they can summarize by including the main points. That is all the errors. I hope everyone got something from this.
Can you share this exact document in the WhatsApp group?
I'm going to share it in the group now, and I'm going to share, I actually recorded this. I'm going to share this video. I doubt if people will listen to it, but maybe somebody might get something out of it because I think it's a good video. Minus me talking to my children. All right. Any questions about that?
No.
Cool.
Thank you.
Was that worth your time?
Yeah.
That was worth your time? Good. I'm glad. All right, ladies. Yeah. Thank you for coming on board and talking to me for 45 minutes. That was fun. I like that. And maybe we'll do a couple more in the future. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Ray.
All right, guys.
But we lose the connection sometimes, so the voice.
There's too much distraction in the voice.
What, in the background?
No, it's caught, like missing the sound because of the connection.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. But you got some value out of this, right?
Yeah. We got all the points.
All right.
So
cool.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
I'll share this document in the group, and I'll share this video also.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.